We are live and streaming on Facebook and YouTube. So if you can hear me clearly, is everything okay? Okay. Well, I think yes. Well, so let's get started. And if you have any questions through the live, you can leave in the comments below. And good evening. So as mentioned in the post I posted a few minutes ago, we'll be talking about effective speaking activities and how to design them, or how to make sure that the activity you're using for speaking and producing or making a student produce language as a speaking activity is well designed. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, is how to design effective speaking activities. First, let me tell you more about me. I'm an English teacher. I like to teach business English, exam preparation courses, and English for academic purposes. I'm also a teacher trainer, and I like to help in improving teachers' performance in the class, whether in training or as a managerial level as well. And I'm fond of technology and embedding them in teaching. So that's a bit of me. You can know more about me on my website, mahmoudmukhtar.online. And let's get started. So if students aren't speaking in a speaking activity, what could be possible reasons for that? Why students might not be speaking in a speaking activity? Okay. Think. So let me know in the comments what could be possible reasons for students not speaking in a speaking activity. Well, basically, there will be some reasons for that. And we can have them in categories. And so if we have a look to the next one, it could be reasons related to the student himself or herself. It could be reasons related to the teacher or the activity. So what could be possible reasons for related to students? If things aren't going well in a speaking activity and it's from the student side, I would say that might be related to whether the student is shy or not confident enough to speak and share his or her knowledge with the rest of the class and the peers, or he or she doesn't know enough about the topic to speak about. So that would be related to the student himself. And this is one I'm going to cover today. Second type might be related to not giving clear instructions from the teacher's side, or the environment of the class is not safe. So if there is a mistake, the student is mocked and felt embarrassed because the way of the correction with from their peers or the teacher. And we're not going to cover this today. And on-the-spot correction through the whole class time will also make the students stop participating in the class. So because once I speak, I'll be interrupted to and corrected. So that also one of the reasons we don't correct on the spot. We'll cover this maybe in another live or some. But now we'll cover activity-related reasons. So we'll focus on the activities and what could make the activities in the class more effective to get students started to speak. So have a look at this exercise and what do you think about it? Is it effective or not? So we got two students, A and B. Every one of them has a card of it has some questions. They should ask and answer these questions to each other. So what do you think about it? Is it effective or no? If not, why? If yes, why? Okay. Yes. Well, as you can see, questions are varied using double-edged questions at some point and yes/no questions. It's about using present and past, and the questions are really to the point, and the answer is short and is not developing any conversation. Good. There is no follow-ups. Like once you ask, you get the answer, you move to the next point, and also there is no purpose of listening to someone's answer because I just wait for you to finish the answer to shoot you with the other question and finish the 4 or 5 questions, and then you start asking me your questions, and then we're done. So there is no even listening to the answer from the partner we have. Okay. Well, I think there's a delay in the comments when I see them, but I'll come back to comments on your comments. Moving to the next point. I might have a look here and so there are 5 criteria to make the speaking activity effective. I have them on the screen, but they are missing some letters. Now your turn to guess what are the 5 criteria to have an effective I think I'm back now. Was a quick pause, but let's see. Yeah, we're back with the 5 criteria. Could be the main pillars behind having an effective speaking activity. So here they are. It has to be purposeful, so it has a purpose of the conversation we're running or the speaking we're doing. It has to be productive, practical, predictable, and adaptable. Well, so let's dig deeper to cover each point. First, for a speaking activity to be effective, first point we need to cover it's a productivity. Is it productive? How we could check it is productive? By answering the question, how much speaking will it generate? And how much speaking will differ from an elementary group or elementary student to an advanced student or intermediate student and so on. So you as a teacher, when you're planning and designing your speaking activity, you gotta pay attention to how much speaking logically you can expect from your student with their level of knowledge, fluency, and understanding, and difficulty of the exercise as well, and so on. So, how much speaking will it generate? So this is the first P, productive. Next is practicality of the speaking activity, and to make sure it's practical, you gotta answer that question, which is it's about the materials, about you as a teacher. When you're preparing for the activity and when you're executing the activity, you're doing the activity in the class. To do this activity, you need lots of sheets, paper, internet connection, lots of chairs, big space. So these are the material. Are these the material you want? The preparation time, how much time does it take for you to prepare for this activity? And is it easy to set and manage? For example, you can have board game for students, and there are lots of board games you can use to play for fun. But in a class, there are few of them. You have to make sure that first it's manageable. It doesn't take much preparation and instructions, and introducing the game to the students so they understand the game, and then they start to play, and then they have to follow some rules and so on. So they'll be very exhausting for both the teacher and the students. And by the end of the day, I'm not sure if you're going to stay focused on your target language that you taught, and the expressions you want to use, your students use while they're speaking and so on, because they will be busy with other stuff related to their instruction of the game, let's say. So that's one thing. And next point would be, is it predictable? What does it mean predictable here? It would be something that relates to whether you as a teacher, after you teach, can you expect what language students are going to produce? So let's say you told them something related to weather and simple present, some adjectives describing weather and so on. So when you give them a speaking activity, you have to be sure that this activity, by the end of the day, when they start doing the activity, they will use the language you taught. So now you predict what is gonna be produced from your students, so you can give them feedback on their language, and it has to be complete listen. So you start with feeding them information or telling them, from not feeding like in the teaching stuff, but I mean supplying them with info and knowledge on the language, and then they digest it, they understand, they get the meaning, the form, the pronunciation. Now put it into practice by speaking. But if you give them a speaking activity, has nothing to do with what you taught them, now the whole session is not coherent. So if you go back, we need to have it productive, practical, and predictable. Fourth P, purposeful. Remember the first question we had, or the exercise we had earlier? It wasn't purposeful, because ask the questions, answer the questions. Why are you asking the questions? Just because the teacher asked me to do so. Why are you answering it? That's it. Speak together and find 3 things in common in blah, blah, blah. Gap filling, so you need to have some information because you will write down some information from your students and then report it back to the whole class or the teacher, or find or look for some findings or something. So far, productive, predictable, practical, and purposeful. Last one starts with an A, which is adaptable. And to have an adaptable speaking activity, that will make it easier for you as a teacher. And to make sure it's adaptable, you need to ask yourself that question: can you use it for a higher and lower level? So it's the same activity, you're gonna only change the target language, the vocabulary, the grammar, but it's the same instruction of the game or the activity. It's the same thing. So it's adaptable. You adapt it through your classes through the day, with a teaching language center or in a school. So whatever the activity can do with higher and lower levels, primary and high school students, if they are the same, that's an adaptable activity. So these are the 5 criteria of having an effective speaking activity, and there are 4 P's and 1 A. So, do you remember them now? Okay. Let's have a look back. Productive, practical, predictable, purposeful, and adaptable. Well, moving forward, let's see. Some other comments or points to keep in mind when you're designing an activity. Reading is not a speaking. So if you ask your student to read a passage or a paragraph, that's not a speaking. It might be useful for the student to fix his or her pronunciation, but that's not a speaking. You're just reading, or the student is just reading the question or reading a passage or something, and that's it. So reading is not a question. Next one, consider giving students prompts, and the prompts will be something related also to what you taught, or whether it's a grammar or vocabulary. So for example, if you told, the previous lesson when you told them at the beginning of the session, when you told them some adjectives related to weather, simple present, and okay, by the end of the class, you ask them to describe their last trip in summer or in last trip in general, because people might travel in summer or in winter and so on. And okay, if they're going to describe such a thing, then you want them to use the language you taught. So in the same activity, ask them, cover the following points: weather adjectives, be, and then between 2 brackets, M is R, and ask questions to your partner, yes, no, WH question. So these are the prompts students need to follow or to cover when they're running the speaking activity. This will help your students focus on the task and achieve it point after point, and that will be done. And then you can check, as a teacher, you can check their performance, and then take feedback and give feedback. So take notes and give it back after the speaking. And activity authenticity. And that will has something to do with, do students do the same in real life or no? For example, if you ask your students to give a presentation, well, I don't like to present. It's not something I do at work. It's not something I do at my school or university. I don't need it, and it doesn't really relate to my life. I don't need it in my practical life as a presentation or speaking in a presentation. Or let's say a role play or a debate. Let's say you're discussing something related to law or something. Even a topic is not interesting to students, and it has nothing to do. I don't debate. I don't negotiate in my job. My job has something to do with collecting data on the phone and so on. So I don't like to debate. It's not something I do. So that could be something not authentic to students. So you gotta have a background about your students as well. So let's say you know better, and you know how or what kind of activities will be interesting for them as well. Now we'll have a look at some questions, speaking activities, and let's see if there is something wrong or no. So if we have a look at the same question we had before, that what do you think about it? I think we already covered it, but let's have a look at it again. What does it lack? So there are 5 points you need. So 5 questions you need to ask yourself. Okay. So is it productive? I would say no, it's not productive. It would be at very low level if it's for elementary or beginners students, yeah. But is it purposeful? No, really. Okay. For the second one, prepare a presentation, talk about something you like, and then got 5 minutes to speak to your classmates about something you like. Well, again, if it doesn't relate to students' life, it's not authentic, and it's not purposeful even for the listener, for the rest of the students. If my classmate is talking about something like his favorite sport, favorite player, he's talking about his day at work and so on, why should I be listening? Why should I pay attention to what he says, or have active listening, because basically nothing relates to me, so by nature I won't be interested. However, we can turn it into an effective one. For the purpose, or having a purpose for a presentation, you might ask the listeners or the rest of the class to take notes on, let's say, grammar and vocabulary points, or take notes on what would you do if he's presenting about his last trip. What would you like to experience in your next trip that your friend did last year? So that could be purposeful now. Okay. So that's for this activity. If you have any other thing, any other comments, let me know in the comments below. Okay. Have a look at this one and tell me what could be wrong here. Which point is not covered out of the 5 criteria? Well, yeah, I would say this one is not practical. Exactly. Okay, next one. Work with your partner. One of you is a student A, the other student B. Read the following dialogue. So still again, reading is not speaking. Okay. Next one. Ask your partner about her or his work. Still, this is something very generic. It has no prompting or specific points to shoot it from A to B. So again, it lacks a purpose as well. Okay. Next. How about the hot seat game? The hot seat game, what do you think? Is it good or no? Is it effective speaking activity or no? Well, let's see. Is it does it need lots of preparation? No. So it is practical. Okay, good. Is it predictable? Yes, if you ask your students to ask the one on the seat to ask WH questions, yes, no questions, and so on. So yeah, you can make it predictable. Is it adaptable? Yes. You can use it with higher and lower levels. So is it purposeful? Well, especially because it's a game and you have to make the one on the chair make a mistake, for example, or something. Okay. So is it purposeful? That's because it keeps the students speaking and asking questions, and the one on the chair answering, and so on, or whatever how you design it, or given instructions for it. But yeah, I would say this is one of the most effective games or an activity or speaking activities, I would say, and I love to do it with my classes, regardless their level or their age. Okay. Yeah, good. Well, some essays, I think students' profiles need to be considered before designing activities during the session. Yeah, totally agree. That will even make the class more fun. Fatma says, this may go back to their fear of making mistakes in front of the others. I think Fatma talks about the very beginning point of this session. I'm going to talk about what could be the reasons behind having students not participating or speaking in a speaking. Good. Well, question time. If you have any questions, let me know. And you can contact me on Facebook, Instagram, email as well. I'll be happy to answer your questions. And these two books could be very useful for you regarding designing or having more info about speaking or designing for your activities or in teaching in general. It's How to Teach Speaking for Harmer and Learning Teaching for Scrivener. That was it for tonight. It was good having you, and see you in another session. You have a lovely evening.